Howdy! We are here live for a third installment of my show Family Style, and we are having so much fun here in the kitchen today, and I am looking forward to next week because my daughter Quinn will be joining me. She actually made me a cute little bracelet for on camera today, and we actually got matching shoes. This is the perk of being able to fit children's shoes, so we will be wearing our kicks to match next week. But today, per your request via the poll that we said, Chinese won, and I'm going to do some sort of fun dish. I don't really know what to call it because I'm totally making this up. And I think the difference between my show and a multitude of other chefs and cooks is there's always a set recipe. I don't work that way. I have never followed a recipe. When I cook in the kitchen with my girls, I am literally making up the dish as I go. Many a times I am drawing something out, and the reasoning for me not knowing the true ingredient quantities is because I will be writing this down and creating this as I let you watch. And the same thing goes for the two previous dishes that I made. I am going back and actually having to watch and write down the ingredients because I'm not completely sure how much and what I did. So same thing goes for today. I'm going to take you through some sort of, I'm calling it some kind of tasty spring roll. My daughter had spring rolls the other week and made a comment about it. In addition, you guys chose Chinese. So when I go through the grocery store, typically pick up ingredients that look fresh and fun to me. The intention of Family Style is to make conscious cooking with your kids made with love, to get them engaged in the kitchen, for them to understand the difference between a fresh product such as carrots versus a packaged item or a canned soup. And so again, I will keep reiterating that it is very important to me to get your kids in the kitchen. Obviously, don't hand them an enormous Analon knife, but take them to the grocery store and teach them about what is on the shelf and what you are bringing to the table for them. I hear a lot of parents, as I've mentioned in a previous show, complain about not wanting to take their children to the grocery store, but I think that if you teach them early, they will not throw fits. Again, my children have thrown an occasional fit in the store because it is not the place that they typically want to be. They might want to be on the playground, but having introduced them early, they do love going now. And I think that it's very important to take them. Sure, if you're filling up the whole house, maybe not so much, but I think this is an introductory opportunity for you to get them to understand healthy cooking. So I'm going to start with, I've got a lot of things here. I prepped some of the stuff because I did not want you watching me this entire time chopping. But what I picked out at the grocery store are some flavorful colors and some wonderful fresh items from our sponsor Whole Foods. I've got some julienne, very thin, easy sliced, and I'll teach you how to actually cut in my way of cutting a bell pepper. I've got orange, I've got red, I have some some nice zucchini. I used the rainbow carrots last week and I had some left, so I thought I would use some of these. I'll finish cutting some zouk. I have some ground pork. It's about a pound, I believe. I have some onion, and then I have this amazing sauce that I like to say. It's kind of like Frank's hot sauce. Their tagline is, I put that beep on everything. And I do. This actual sauce I make, I always have in the fridge. I put it in a mason jar, and I put it on salads. I use it as dipping sauce, so I'm going to make that first. This is kind of an odd version of something that I learned years ago when I was cooking in a kitchen back in my hometown of Davis. Woo woo! So let's see, we're going to start with, and again, I'm going to be writing this as we go because whenever I've made this, I've never written it down. And there's so many times when I cook for my friends, they're like, oh my God, can I get the recipe? And I have no idea what I put in there or the quantities. So for the most part, I know what I'm putting in there, but quantity-wise, I cannot remember. So let's hammer this guy. Woo, you're a tough one. Good Lord. All right, so I think last week I talked about garlic and that I am not a fan of buying pre-chopped garlic at the grocery store. One, I think it goes south really, really fast, and two, fresh ingredients. There's no use in buying a packaged product when you can do it yourself. So we, again, I'm going to be writing this down as we go, but just slicing that garlic head, and we're going to hit it. Be careful with that knife. But I'm going to pull out all of those awesome oils. So I think, let's see, let's do 2 and see how this is. Same thing goes for the ginger. You know, if you're in a, Quinn, sorry, this is going to, I'll tell her I wore it the whole time, but that's going to not feel so good. All right, so I've got 2 heads here. This has a significant amount of ingredients, but you can do this well in advance, and I use this on a lot. So I've got 2 heads here, and my salt. I'm going to use this as an abrasive to actually break down that garlic and get those oils out. Tuck those fingers, as Jacques told me, do not want to slice off the tip of my finger. And this is not something that you obviously would let your children do. And another trick, because, you know, I don't have the most genius knife skills, obviously, but, you know, I get it done. So sometimes I'll hold the edge of the knife here and just chop. And then once I get some good pieces here, I'll actually start to smush it. Smush. And again, this salt will be used kind of as an abrasive to break down the oils in that garlic. And then we'll get into it a little more. And you could make this as chunky or as minced, meaning kind of tiny as you'd like, but you can see the more that I get that salt in there and smash up the oils, it's starting to smell real good. So that's garlic. And then ginger, same thing. You know, if you're pressed for time, you can buy a jar of that, or like the little pre-made squeezy guys. I think some people are a little threatened by, what is this? This looks a little odd, but I'll show you a little trick. I'm not going to use a ton of this, but I'll probably, I would guess, use about this much. For ginger, you just take the tip of the knife, or the spoon, excuse me, and you can see, I think from this camera, you're just in that kind of yummy, lemony, sometimes people refer it as a little Lysol-y smell. And you just kind of get in it. And if these little nibs are bugging you, you could certainly, just for time's sake here, I'll show you, cut these edges off. I always have a handy garbage next to me. So again, if you can see with that camera shot, it's really easy. You could certainly use a peeler, but I think a spoon is much, much easier. So get off of that as much as you can. And usually I just chop this guy some little pieces here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I don't need to use the salt necessarily. I'm getting these little pieces. In fact, you know what? I might just... All right, so what did I do? I did 2 cloves of garlic. This is when I forget, and then I'll completely forget so 2 clove garlic. And then that was, and then we'll see what this is approximately. Maybe I will just start to chop this together, and then this can kind of work together. Yeah, this sauce, I'm telling you, I use it on stir fries. I've made a sesame chicken salad before, but I use it on as a great dipping sauce. So when I was in the store the other day and you guys chose Chinese and I saw the fresh veggies and I thought, well, I may as well teach you guys this dressing or this sauce per se. All right. Boop, boop. So like I said, the more you smush it, the more flavorful those oils are going to compound. Okay. I'm going to take this, put it directly in the bowl. Smells good. Okay, and then I'm going to add toasted sesame oil. This is when I usually would just dump it in there, but I have to completely be conscious of the fact that I'm going to be writing this down for you guys. You know what? Let's do this. I'm guessing about 1/4 cup. If you do not like sesame oil, you could use olive oil. I'm actually going to use a little bit of olive oil in here, but this definitely gives it that flavorful punch. Okay, so currently there's a 1/4 cup. Lime juice, you can squeeze it yourself, but this obviously makes life a lot easier. All right, let's say another 1/4. So I'm just so used to just dumping. Okay, 1/4. A little mirin, sweet rice wine, cooking vinegar here. Probably another cup. So we've got each 1/3 cup there. And then I've got soy sauce. This is going to be kind of the majority. So I'm going to go for, let's see. Oh, wow. Put this open here. We want to pull this puppy off a little bit. Woo! Cheers! All right, so let's call it 1/2. Okay, so 1/4, 1/2. And a little black sesame seed. I'm a huge fan of this. I do use it a lot more than a typical dish calls for, but this stuff is tasty. So I'm going to call that maybe 3 tablespoons. All right, so we've got about 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup, and then I can just add to this 1/2 cup ginger. I think that was probably about 2 tablespoons. Sesame oil, that was 1/4 cup. And I'll wait to add the olive oil if it's necessary. Okay, here's the important part. Brown sugar. This is a beautiful, dark, tasty, golden brown sugar. And this is going to kind of help emulsify this dressing and sauce. And I would probably make this in a lot larger quantities, but I'm trying to test out this actual recipe for you guys live. So let's see. And I don't want too much sugar in there, but this is just an awesome, awesome, awesome sauce that I use on a lot. So we've got about 1/2 cup. Let's see where we're going to go from here. All right, so that was 1/2 cup of sugar. Let's write that down before I... So this is the fun part. I've never done this live with you guys. Last week I just, by memory, was kind of remembering a couple dishes, but I think this is a nice way for me to accumulate all of these dishes I do, and half of the time I'm just cooking based on what tastes good. I think I mentioned before that I would be a really crappy baker because quantities and ingredients is not my thing. I just like throwing stuff in there. So we're going to taste this, and then I'm guessing what I'll probably want to do is add some olive oil. Ooh, that's good. Okay. Definitely, we're going to thin that out with some olive oil. I could do sesame oil, but that gets a little too powerful. You know what? I'm going to add just a little bit more acid, a little more lime juice. Let's say 1/4 cup, 1 tablespoon. All right. Emulsify, kind of thickening ingredient. So when you're making a dressing, you're slowly adding that oil, and it's going to kind of coagulate, I guess, for lack of better analogies. You're going to pull this dressing together. And I think that there's already some pretty heavy richness from the toasted sesame oil and sesame seeds, so that's why I'm going with the olive oil. So these spring rolls, whatever the heck I'm calling them, I'm using the apothecary of a general spring roll, which is the spring roll wrap, or egg roll wrap, I should say, egg roll. And I've got some mint, and I've got the pork, and I've got some fresh veggies, and I actually have some noodles I'll show you that I did in advance too. So this is really multiplying as I add this olive oil. And I think based on the recipe, what I would say is do it to taste. I didn't, of course, measure that, but I think do it to taste to see how actually thick you'd like it. You can see it's a little thicker than it was before. I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. You can taste the ginger, you can taste the garlic. It's not overpowering. And when I write this down for you guys to make at home, modify it, tweak it, add more garlic, add less, but I think this is pretty good. My go-to dish with this, and maybe I'll make it on the show coming up, is this awesome seared ahi, where I take an ahi and I douse it in flour, then in egg bath, and then in sesame seeds, and then just sear it with panko. Sorry, last step is panko with another egg wash. And then I douse it with this with some wasabi mashed potatoes. Ooh, I just thought of that. I'll have to do that one. Okay, so I think this is good to go. Yes, that's it. So what I'll do is usually, now that I have this down, I've never written this down, I always know the ingredients, but I think I have a pretty good set quantity. And you don't have to add the sesame seeds in here, the actual sesame seed itself. The oil, I think, is imperative, but again, if you don't like sesame oil, you could certainly use the olive oil, but this is what really gives it that sesame character. I just like that crunch. So now that we have the recipe per se, we can just make this in multiple quantities, and then I'll keep this in the fridge, and you'll notice if you do put it in the fridge and you pull it out, that olive oil will have thickened. Obviously, it separates, so just like oil and water. So when you pull it out, just let it rest at room temp. So I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to be using this for the actual egg roll, spring roll. I don't know what to call it. It's going to be good. Okay, we're going to end up using this. What I did in advance is this rice noodle. Boiled a huge vat of water, bowl of water, pot of water, whatever. You could do it in the microwave, and then just tossed these in and let them sit for, I don't know, about 10 minutes. So bring it to a rolling boil, toss in the actual rice noodle, and then let it sit off the burner for about 10 minutes. And these have been sitting for about an hour, so they're cooled. You'll see these in fresh spring rolls typically. I do these a lot with the kids because they're just fun. For my little 2-year-old, I'll cut them a little bit more, but these are really fun to use. Okay, so here we go. I really am not certain about, okay, let's think about this. Boop. I'm going to start with an onion. And I think because the sauce is so powerful and flavorful that I'm not going to add any actual garlic to the pork itself. But I use onion in a lot, cutting with the girls at the kitchen table or in the kitchen. Sometimes they'll run because they're afraid of crying. Sometimes I cry. So I think this is about a half. Knife skills, not perfect, but it'll taste good. All right, so that was half an onion. And this paper, I'm going to have to keep these because this is going to be completely filthy at the end. Okay, so I emulsified. Let's see, add. All right, so we're going to turn this guy on. Thank you, Monogram. We love our kitchen. On. Boop, boop, boop. And it's going to talk to me. You can hear that. All right, we added another cool camera here so you can see that down shot. Thank you, Chris. He's setting up this kitchen even or more every week, so we are very thankful. All right, so I'm going to get that heated up a little bit. These eggs I do want to chat about. Becky got them across at the Oxbow. They are absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, just based on the breed and what some of the chickens eat, you'll see a multitude of colors here. They're gorgeous. I almost don't want to use them, but I will use this for the actual egg bath to close up those egg rolls or spring rolls per se. And I guess I should be calling it an egg roll because I'm going to be frying it lightly. Okay, so we've got the sauce, we've got the eggs there. We'll start making the bath once those guys. All right, olive oil. I know I talked about using grapeseed oil occasionally because it has a higher heat component to it, but I think I'm going to be using olive oil. Oh, there's a little heart. Look at that heart. Kind of cute. Okay. Let's do this. Got half of an onion in here. And ask questions, please. Feel free to ask questions. We put a poll up for what Quinn and I could potentially be cooking next week. She is very excited to be cooking with Mommy because she and Harlow cook with me in the kitchen all the time. And that is, what makes my heart sing is spending time with them in the kitchen with my husband and family time. That's family style. So I think that we put up tomato soup and ooey gooey grilled cheese. The girls love that. We put up a breakfast casserole, which again includes bacon, which is one of my favorite things in the world. And lastly is a pho soup. The girls love bok choy, and I make a really flavorful pho. By no means a authentic original pho, but it's my version. And I think there's a fourth one. The enchilada pie, kind of an enchilada casserole. So a couple different dishes. Quinn likes making all of those with me, so we'll, I'm sure, be wearing our crazy glitter shoes together next week. Next Wednesday, we'll be going live at probably about 2:30, because I'll be picking her up at school at 1. All right, so we're letting these onions sweat a little bit. Sweat meaning the oils and the actual condensation of that is cooking the onions, so you'll see that it's getting a little translucent there. And then we've got this approximately pound of pork. You could use ground chicken, you could use ground turkey. So certainly supplement as you see fit, but I think we're going to use pork with this one. All right, so we're going to turn that down a little bit. But I want to get this kind of browned and cooking through. So we're going to get that going. And then we are going to chop a little more zook and make that bath. So for the zucchini, I do actually cook zucchini a lot at home. Typically, if I'm sauteing it, I will cut it on the bias and then chop this way. This one, I'm just going to cut a little bit more up because I think I planned on using a cup of each, and this was missing a little bit, so I thought I'd kind of take you through this. So I'm cutting it in half and then cutting it to make quarters here. And then I'm just going to slice through. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is making kind of the dish within the spring roll together, making with the carrot and the zook and the onion and the pork, and then most likely I'll be adding this last before I fry it because I want a little bit of a crunch. Okay, so we've got the zook here. And then I have this fresh. All right, and then pepper. My girls love to eat just straight up raw pepper. Very healthy, obviously. I put it in their lunches quite a bit. And I'm sure most of you have cut a pepper, but I save these always. I kind of keep a separate bag because the girls think they're funny and they'll actually eat these as well. So don't throw these away, please. Use them. So slicing each side, turning it, and then just take that knife and run it down. I think a lot of people end up like trying to dig out with the seeds, and then it's a mess, and this is much easier. So it's just getting a little brown here. You can see those onions are cooked. So I want to get this completely cooked through, and then I'll add some of the vegetables, and then we'll mix it all up in a bowl and then compile that spring roll. I actually thought about turning it into a fresh spring roll, but it's raining outside, and I feel like it's Friday, and fried was the way to go. All right, so that's getting happy. We are going to kind of julienne. Tuck those fingers. Annalon, who does all of our cookware, has these incredible knives, and I love them, but they're super sharp, so I'm always cautious. All right, so that looks about right. And wine, I didn't get to the wine. I'll talk about wine in a minute, but it's past noon, right? All right, we're going to let that keep going, and I'm going to do a egg bath, which, let's grab these beautiful eggs that I feel so bad cracking. Woo, look at that yolk. Holy Moses. It's gorgeous. My girls love to crack the eggs occasionally. Well, most times the actual shell ends up in there. But so egg bath, which is used on, well, yeah, let's do one more. I think I said the other week, Jacques taught me, he's like, don't hit it on the side of the bowl, hit it on the actual cutting board on a flat surface so it doesn't poke and prod through, which is the reasoning for this. So I will listen. Always wash your hands. All right, so egg bath, typically just egg with a little bit of water, which you'll see on pies, which creates that, glistening, beautiful coat to the pie. Also for an egg roll. Oh, and then my shirt, by the way, I truly believe in peace, love, and wine. All right, we're going to get this all happy in here. Smush. And like I said, you could certainly use a ground chicken or a ground beef or a ground turkey, but pork, as you know, I love bacon, so. All right, we're gonna let this get a little more happy there. And then, so I'm gonna add in these zooks. Let's just, for measure, just guessing it's about a cup. Okay, so it is about a cup. And the more, colorful ingredients you have, the more excited I think the kids are, at least mine are. They definitely like helping mom in the kitchen, but I'm teaching them about what's in front of them versus a, canned or packaged item. Okay, all right, so we have about a cup of zook and a cup of carrot. And I don't anticipate I'm gonna cook these down completely. I definitely wanna make them a little soft, but I think it's going to be nice to have a crunch in there. And this pork, you can see, I want to get this a little more smushed. I think that's going to be my word, like emerald, bam, my smush. All right, so it's getting there. Let that get happy. Okay, so we did a cup, one red, okay, so that was 1 cup, 1 cup, 1 cup, and then carrot, 1 cup. And then, okay, all right, I think I've got that down. While that cooks, just a little note about herbs. I do typically buy them in bundles, and then we'll hang them upside down in the kitchen. But if you'd like them to last a little longer, I know these aren't looking completely beautiful at the moment, but I'm going to be cooking these down. I'm not going to be sprinkling this on the dish. Put them in a little water. Let them perk up a little bit. So I'll just set this aside and keep that in mind for moving forward here. All right, we're getting close. and then we're going to get to constructing. But I want to brown these up a little bit more and get those carrots done. And I think, you know, this is kind of fun for the kids too to assemble. So we're going to actually make these and then fry them. But first we need to do this egg bath. And I'm just going to be using this to kind of, almost like an envelope, seal up the, see that? Seal up the egg roll. And you don't need a lot of water. I'm just going to add a little bit of water from the tap. Cold, not hot, because that's probably just a tablespoon. So I did 3 eggs. If you add hot, you can risk scrambling it, so make sure it's cold. Okay. Let's see, 3 egg. Oh, egg. Okay. That's getting close. We've got, I don't think we need these, although they're beautiful anymore. We're getting close to putting the dish together. Eggs back here. Yep. Actually, now that I think of it, I might actually add some of the sauce to this. I can just use the rest of the bowl so I don't dirty up another bowl. All right, so I guess I just want to break this up a little bit more because when I start putting these together, these are not enormous egg roll wrappers. You know, this is just like an egg pasta. You can see these in sheets. No, I did not make these. I would not attempt that. I have, but it's too laborious. And it's easy to buy at the store, so you can just buy these egg roll wraps. Very simple. So we've got these ready to go. We've got the egg wash. I think I'm going to leave these out because I want a little bit of a crunch. We are going to fry them, but then we'll have a little something to look forward to when we bite into it. All right, so we're seeing that brown a little bit, but I just want to mash this up a little bit more. And ask any questions you guys would like. I plan on putting up those, I know I said this last week, but I plan on putting those 2 recipes up shortly. I just had to go back and actually watch and ensure that I was putting up the correct recipe because I do just throw in ingredients and I've never actually, for those of you tuning in now, you know, this is the first time when I cook for my kids and I'm cooking in general, I'm kind of the mad scientist in the kitchen and am just tossing in what looks good and sounds good and tastes good. And so now I'm writing this down for you because this kind of just came to mind when you asked for something Chinese inspired. Yeah, could we use a vegetarian roll or version? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that if somebody asked live, if you're asking the question, you could certainly replace the pork or meat with a multitude of other fresh vegetables. You know, this is going to add crunch. The actual bell pepper will add crunch to it, so I'm not going to cook that down. But if you wanted to make it into like a little pocket of vegetables and saute those, I've got the carrot, the zucchini. You could add an actual yellow squash. Maybe you want to add some potatoes. This could be like honestly a breakfast roll of sorts if you want to add some scrambled eggs. I don't know. I mean, if you're vegan, that's not the choice, but okay, so this is, I think, getting to where I want it. I haven't even tasted it, so that's probably what I want to do next. This egg, I want to get out of here. I haven't added any salt to this because I did add salt to the ginger and the garlic, and then obviously the soy sauce is high in sodium for the sauce, which I don't anticipate dousing the egg roll, but there's no going back, put it that way. I let the girls one time, and it was a mistake. I love you girls, but I will not let you be in charge of the salt. I said, Harlow, take a little, and she took, before I could grab her, just an enormous little handful and tossed it in my dish, and suffice to say, Ethan didn't eat it that night. And I think we added a lot of water to something that shouldn't have had water to it. Okay. All right. It could use a little salt, but I'm not going to because I, again, don't want to go back. Okay, let's do this. I am going to take the bowl I already used for making the actual sauce. I'm going to toss that in there. Hot. And I'll have to write down how many this serves. You know, with family style, it's just one big awesome dish that we're all sharing in. So I'm going to keep this on because I'm going to go straight to, once we assemble. In fact, let's just kind of turn that down and keep it on the side because I don't want it to lose its heat. Let's see, what am I looking for here? I'm actually going to take this guy and kind of mash this up a little bit more because some of these bigger pieces, these egg roll wrappers are only so big. But I think using this bowl that I used the sauce in, I'm telling you, this sauce, I could, when I was pregnant, I drank pickle juice. Pretty gross, I know, but it was it was really good. And when that was with Quinn, and the second, Harlow, when I would make this, I don't think I've admitted this yet, I actually would take sips of it. I'm talking about the sauce I made. This stuff is so good. I wouldn't drink it now, but there was something about sodium and salt being pregnant that I, you know, like any yummy food. That's pretty gross now that I think about that, sorry. But it's really good sauce. So I would suggest in reading the recipe, make a lot of this, keep it in your fridge. As you can see here, you can't see it from that angle, but you can see here it's already starting to separate. So when I actually pour this into the dipping sauce, I'll want to make sure that I mix that up again. All right, so I think this is working. I'm just kind of breaking up that pork. So please check the poll and click on what you want Quinn and I to cook next week. My daughter Quinn, 5-year-old, loves to cook, like my 2-year-old in the kitchen with me. I'll be picking her up on her half day from school, and we'll be cooking in the kitchen. So the choice is yours. There's 4 items to choose from, and I think they're all good ones. All right, I never thought of using a spatula this way, but OXO makes some good stuff. Okay. Okay, we've got that. We're going to move this. And I don't know how much I'm going to be able to stuff in these puppies, but we're going to see. So this is... Gosh, I've been so busy. I haven't enjoyed my vino. I'll have to talk about it after. It's Friday. Okay. Okay, so we have these guys. That's getting super hot. And again, I could use grapeseed oil because it has a higher heat, but I'm going to be frying these bad boys, so let's try to organize here. Got a lot of stuff on the... And you know what? Yes, you can, but you can move. Okay. So I am going to lay these guys out. So yeah, you could certainly make this vegetarian if you'd like, but I love pork, and I think this will be tasty. Okay, so we got 3 guys here, and I would be cautious not to get any water on the plate for these guys in advance. Keep them pretty dry because they will stick together, and then you're not going to be having fun. So you can see it's sticking a little bit here. Okay, that is on kind of medium to high heat. You can see that's starting to go. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is get kind of a spoon here. And once you just advance notice, if this is on pretty high. I'm smelling the oil. Typically, if I start smelling that, I'll kind of set that aside. Now, this is an induction burner, so it'll start talking to me saying, oh, stove is up, stove is up. But I don't like to get my oil too intensely hot because it'll start to burn and get kind of a bitter taste. I don't want that. So I'm just going to pull that off a second because I want to get these. And I don't think I want to add too much in here. And this could be fun for the girls, right? Assemble them together. We've got, see, I'm getting to you.
Somebody said, do you ever add minced fruit to the meat mixture, such as apricots, pineapples, or raisins?
No, but you know what? You just gave me an idea. Somebody asked about adding minced fruit to these guys, to the meat, and I think that this could certainly serve as a breakfast egg roll. You know, you could add eggs and bacon and potato. You could make it into like a little mini cobbler. I mean, this essentially is almost like a sheet of pie dough. I mean, it is a noodle, essentially, but if you added some minced fruit and made it into like a little yummy little cobbler, I got an idea. Maybe we can do that with a little mascarpone and like some sweet, what, was that a good face or a bad face? Oh, okay, all right, I thought somebody stank face, like, duh, that's a bad idea. Okay, all right, I forgot a little spoon over there. So, you know what, I'm just gonna, Chris is saying, move over the bowl. Okay, I'm just gonna add a little of this egg. Just like a little envelope, right? As long as this is tied and happy, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. I could certainly use a brush or a spoon, but I think this gives me a little bit more ownership of where I'm putting it. All right, so we're gonna start with these because I think I obviously want to take you through the end result, and then I'm not going to do this entire bowl with you watching me, but to get the end result and see what we've got and what needs to be added. So yeah, I like that idea. Maybe we do like a combination egg roll, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or dessert. Okay, we're going to add this back on. See it? This burner is so smart. It said, you are off. I'm going to put you back on. Come on. It says I need to warm up a second. Come on. There you go. All right. So that's pretty hot, but I pulled it off because I did not want that to brown. While that's getting back hot here, I think I'm going to roll these suckers up. They're pretty fragile. You know, I would say that if you're doing this with the kids, to let them put the amount in and kind of guide them, and then, you know, whatever. I guess it doesn't have to, you're cooking with your kids, it doesn't have to be perfect, but tucking and actually closing these up like a little fun package. And what I'll probably do, you know, any pastry chef would probably be yelling at me right now. I'm using my finger and some egg and ew. But you know what? The kitchen does not have to be perfect, and as Jacques says, that the stove sees no race, and we are all one, so I'm going to do it my way. Okay. Again, wash your hands. Do not let that egg sit on there. Same with any raw meat. So we're going to test these out. This looks more like, I mean, again, I've never done this dish. I'm just going as we go. So I'm just going to get this super hot, and you know what I typically do to test? No, that needs to get a little hotter because I want this to fry. So you can see it starting to, it's almost like when you're doing a pancake and you want to make sure that you're not dumping the actual batter into a, you know, cold pan. It's going to start to ooze out. So I want to make sure that this is going to be high heat. Yeah, you're talking to me now. I think you're ready. All right, so we have 3. We've got this yummy goodness of pork and carrot and zucchini. You could make it vegetarian. You could supplement for a chicken or a turkey or a beef, but I chose pork. And then we've got these tasty little packages with fresh bell pepper that have been, sliced or julienned. And I think that I'm going to start with the enclosed side down. They're more like little happy packages, not so much an egg roll. So I don't know, we'll come up with a name. All I care about is it tasting good. So while that's going, and I guess this is when I lose track. I've got my sauce. I've got the egg. I think we just, oh, you know what I didn't do, see? This is what happens when I'm in the kitchen and I'm making this stuff up. But honestly, I think this was a better decision. I think what I'm going to do, this is what's fun to me, okay? I am creating a dish right now live, and I didn't add the noodle, but I think that I'm actually going to go in a different direction and take this and turn it into an actual doused sauce with what I made, and then put it on the dish with, okay, I just answered my own question. This is going to be better now. And this is an evolution of creating a dish. When we are here filming with Rick Moonen or Jacques or Elizabeth Binder or Cindy Paulson or Sandra Bernstein, we're in here and we're all cooking together, and half the time we're taking cut 2, cut 3, cut 4, and it isn't perfect. And I think that in creating a dish, this is what's fun. It's an evolution. So I'm not going to add. I'm going to add on dish the noodle. So I think, yeah, I like this. So this is a family style plate, so I think that I'm going to chop some mint. And mint you'll see in a lot of, I would say more Thai dishes than Chinese, but because I thought of a spring roll, which is more fresh, versus an egg roll, and this sauce, which has that kind of yummy sesame influence to it with lime juice and brown sugar and toasted sesame oil, I'm going to just kind of, how are you guys doing over there? You're looking, yeah, look at that. It's just a happy little package. That's probably not appropriate for a family show. We'll come up with a better name, but All right, so we don't need this, but I think obviously we can duplicate these, and I will once we go off the air, and we'll make a pile of these. But I think we're gonna change this up. My original intention was adding the rice noodles to the actual spring roll, but now that I think of it, it was already a small little area anyways. So I think that this will create kind of more of a actual family style dish. Okay, these are starting to look good, so let's do this. I am going to take this and I think, actually, you know what, I'm going to chop these up a tiny bit. Mint is amazing, but sometimes a little overpowerful. Let's get this kind of a little more minced. All right. So I just took, it's probably 3 tablespoons, I'd say, of mint. I'm going to pull these suckers off because I have a feeling they're looking good. Remember our childhood, those Hot Pockets? I used to sing that all the time. I don't know what it was, but that's always been stuck in my mind. This reminds me of a little Hot Pocket. All right, so we've got this. And if I had an actual lid to this, I could shake it up. Oh man, if I was pregnant right now, I would drink this entire thing. And I'm not going to put a ton on this because, Again, you can always go back and add, but you cannot. I'm going to toss these noodles. So we've got mint. This is, a cold noodle. I don't want to burn those guys, but. And I could probably, if I really wanted, maybe just to add some color, and I think I might, add some more of this bell pepper. The only thing with these rice noodles is, woo, they get, look at that. It's like enormous. So if you have a little kid, like my 2-year-old, I would chop these up a little bit. All right, let me rinse. Because we do not want those getting stuck in the throat. Okay, so we've got this. What I'm going to do before these get any further, let's pull these off. Yeah, I'm glad I forgot putting the noodle in there, because now we can do this. So, get all this goodness. So we've got this noodle, we've got some mint. Let's taste this and see if I want to. I think that we can kind of leave people to judge for themselves how much sauce they want. Sorry, I'm going to get dirty here real fast. This is what I'm talking about. This is not necessarily great for a 2-year-old, so. I think I would still add a little more sauce to that, but you can be the judge how much. Let's check these guys out. Sharp knife, otherwise you'll smush this. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Yeah? That bell pepper in there is still going to add a little crunch because we didn't cook it completely, but it's hot. Yeah, I mean, I think my girls would love these. So let's do this. Yeah, this is a pretty good family-style dish, I'd say. And if you don't like bell peppers, some people are not a fan of bell peppers. Maybe you supplement the bell peppers for more julienne carrots. So you still have that tasty crunch. Here's the restaurant and me coming out. So I think, you could certainly, this is a cold salad under here, and definitely healthy. Besides the frying, we've got a lot of tasty veggies in here, and a little mint, just to kind of zhuzh it up here. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a fun little dish. I know my girls, I'd be telling them it's hot, Harlow, hot. So we've got a nice little hand-sized pocket of goodness that was brought to my attention. Possibly we make it into a dessert option, right? Maybe we add a little fruits and make a mascarpone that we still fry the egg roll, and we can dip a little mini cobbler. We could add egg and potato to this apothecary of sorts. But I think that what's most important is this guy right here, and this sauce, this saucy sauce. You're going to want to make a bunch of this, I'm telling you. You got these guys. It's good. It's family style. It's friendly. But then we get to the adult portion of the show, which I do have to say, in Europe, kids. I mean, my partner Becky and their kids had wine at a young age. I think letting them try it, not letting them drink it, but letting them try it is important to introduce them, just like foods, to what's appropriate and healthy, and respect alcohol. So they know, I think Harlow's third word, I don't know if that's a good thing, was wine, but mommy likes her wine and she's kind of in the business. So, you know, letting her try a little bit. Some parents may be completely against that, but smelling it, and people in the wine business, you know, I think introducing them to something is important. You don't need them to try it, but smelling it and talking about it and educating them on what's, to respect it and not disrespect it, just like people. We've got 3 incredible wines. Certainly I'm not just going to be feasting and sitting down and drinking these, but it's Friday and we have friends over, and so we've got a great B-Wise Vineyard Syrah. This is from Moot Mountain Estate Fruit. And these wines you can get here at the studio by Feast It Forward. We have an incredible list of 15 wineries, and B-Wise, Gibbs, and Oberon are 3 of our official partners and sponsors that help make this true. So, a little splash of this. $45 beautiful Sonoma Mountain Fruit, and then we have a Gibbs Napa Valley Cab. $45 Syrah, Estate Fruit, Gibbs Cabernet Sauvignon, 3 clones in St. Helena. This is $32. And then a Oberon Merlot, which is a Michael Mondavi project, which is $23. So a great selection of 3 different wines. 5% goes back to our foundation that feeds 20 charities a year. So you can order them online. You can come on down to the studio. Cheers to Feasting It Forward. I'm going to go live next Wednesday with my 5-year-old. So pick which dish you'd like me to cook. And I promise, having written this down now, I will go back and put pen to paper and finalize this, and I might tweak it based on what it actually tastes like, which I will probably do a little different now. But yeah, I think this is fun. It's pretty healthy. It's got some great vegetables and whatnot, so I just ask people to dip. Pretty tasty. All right, let me know what you want me to cook next Wednesday. Dishes that are inspiring, getting your kids in the kitchen, family style. Use alcohol respectfully. Don't drink and drive, please. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.